After a weekend of waiting and watching for a Kanon Catchings commitment, the Tar Heels got the commitment part, but from a completely different player.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what is up? It is Monday, April 14th, 2025, at least on the East Coast. We're going live. It's still Sunday in the rest of the time zones, but who cares? Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day of the week. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to thank you for making this your first listen or watch of the day. I mean, quite literally, it's 2 minutes into the day on the East Coast. So if you got something else first, I don't know how, but congrats to you. Special shout out to all the everydayers joining us, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and of course, all the Locked On Tar Heels insiders that are with us. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Well, you guys, when things happen, we got to go live in real time. So if you're listening to this on Monday as part of your regular routine, welcome in. So glad you're here. If you were wanting to watch this premiere like a normal time, 8 o'clock Monday morning or 9 on the East Coast, sorry, man. When it's time to go live, it's time to go live because news don't wait. So that's what we're doing today. We're talking about Jarin Stevenson committing to Carolina, Kanon Catchings and Carolina parting ways, and him winding up in Athens, Georgia, my hometown, my stomping grounds. And there's that. I guess technically we didn't talk about Cade Tyson entering the transfer portal because that happened after Friday's show, and we didn't go live to talk about it. I just did a short about that, so we'll hit that. We got to get to our weekend whip around. The Tar Heel Diamond Heels got their first sweep of the ACC play. We got to get to that because they are heating up, and I absolutely love it. I also want to shout out our guy Taft Flowers. Taft is one of our Locked On Tar Heels insiders. When we talked about Drake Powell on Friday, I forgot I was planning to use his question about Drake Powell to kind of frame up one of the conversations that Coach Rob and I have, and I just completely spaced it. But I had told Taft, man, thank you for the way you phrased that question. It's going to help, and so I want to shout him out today. All right, let's get into Jarin Stevenson. This young man is where he should have been all along. Jarin Stevenson, a Chapel Hill native, a guy that grew up at Carolina. His mom was a Tar Heel, all of that. It's great stuff. And I want to set the record straight because I've seen a lot of it going around the wrong way this weekend. I think a lot of people are under the impression that he just basically like dissed Carolina and was like, forget you guys, I'm going to Alabama. And that's just not true. Heading into the 23-24 season, Jarin wanted to reclassify. When that decision was made, Carolina didn't really have the space for it, at least not, I mean, they could have taken him, sure, but he wouldn't have gotten the playing time he wanted. And so he wanted to go somewhere where that could happen, and Alabama was the play. And so that's where he wound up. Did it hurt? Absolutely it hurt. I wanted him to be a Tar Heel. I wanted him to come play his whole career at Carolina. But that's just not always the reality, right? Like sometimes things just don't happen the way you always assume they will be. So I just wanted to set that record straight. Now, there's probably more nuance here and there and whatever, but that is the big picture of that story. As for Jarin's performance and what he does on the floor and all that, we're going to talk about that later on this week. We got plenty of time to unpack that. It's a long off season, folks. So we'll talk about that probably Tuesday or Wednesday show. This show, I want to be more about like what this means for Carolina, what his commitment means, the Kanon Catchings of it all. And then we'll get into the depth chart, my scholarship chart, all of that here in just a little bit. Next thing I want to talk about is with Jarin having gone to Alabama first. This is a perfect reminder. I mean, the quintessential example of why you don't burn bridges in recruiting, particularly in this transfer portal day and age that we live in. Like I vividly remember saying this in real time when Jarin, when the whole thing happened and he went to Tuscaloosa. I remember saying over and over and over again, hang on tight, everybody, because Jarin Stevenson who wants to be a Tar Heel, you just don't know what's going to happen in this day and age. And here we are 2 years later, he's coming home, man, and you absolutely love to see it. So this is why you keep your options open. This is why if somebody pieces out, instead of ridicule and that dumb kid didn't commit to my team as a coach, you say, hey, you know what, Jarin, good luck in Tuscaloosa. I hope things go well with Coach Oates. If you're ever looking to get back home, just pick up the phone and like he's actually going to call. Just pick up your phone and text and we'll be back in touch, right? Like that's how you do it now. And clearly it's worked. Also, as a reminder for all the rest of us that aren't coaches and players or parents, this is why you don't hop on social media and just straight up bash dudes when they pick not your school, whether it's Carolina or whatever school it is, because you don't know. And if you hop on there when Jarin Stevenson commits to Alabama and you say, that trash kid, I never wanted him in Chapel Hill and he's going to be terrible and blah, blah, like, then that puts a sour taste in his mouth. And maybe this didn't happen on Sunday night, right? Thankfully it did. And I'm sure there was a whole bunch of negative social media that went his way, but it's just like, it's not worth it. It's just not, it's never worth it. But especially when you consider somebody that might come back to you someday. And here he is coming home to Chapel Hill, just like I hoped would happen all along. You want to talk about Carolina getting bigger. Last year, they were too small all across the board. Oh my goodness, that will not be the case now. When you start to look at this team, it's like Vin Allen Lubin's going to look like a dwarf in the front court. Dwarfed, not like a dwarf, but he will be dwarfed by these guys. He's 6'9" or whatever he is, but you've got Henry Vasar, a legit 7-footer, Jarin Stevenson at 6'11". You've got Caleb Wilson, 6'9", 6'10". Even the guards coming in, Isaiah Dennis, Derek Dixon. I think Isaiah, if I remember correctly, is like 6'5". Dixon is like 6'3". Jonathan Powell, who comes in from West Virginia, is 6'6". Obviously, Drake Powell's got great size. Kyan Evans isn't like Kobe White big point guard, but he's 6'3". Seth Trimble, 6'3", on and on and on and on. This team has size, man. And if you were missing that last year, it will be in spades in Chapel Hill this time next year. I can't wait. Like Ken Palm on his site shows like the average height of each team. And Carolina, I think has got to be up there with one of the biggest teams in the nation next year. And that's great. Now, obviously, being a bus team, like a team that gets off the bus and looks like a great basketball team, does not equate to wins on the basketball court. So you got to go out and do it. But man, the size is in a much, much better space. Did anybody see the Michigan tweet that went out this weekend, or maybe it was late last week, where it was like, man, Michigan's got all this size now. And it was like Elliot Cadeau, 6'6", and it listed all this stuff. I'm like, what? First off, what? No, that's silly and dumb and wrong. But it makes me want to quote tweet that and be like, man, Kyan Evans, 17 foot 5 inches. Drake Powell, 13 feet, not like just go bonkers with it. But that's where Carolina's at. They got all this size now. We also do need to discuss not just Jarin coming in, but one guy leaving and another guy that, as we went into the weekend, we thought we would be talking about right now as a Tar Heel. So on Friday afternoon, I was working on just putting up some shorts and doing other stuff about the Kanon Catchings and Jarin Stevenson of it all, the Caden Lewis of it all, decommitting from Kentucky. I was like, hey, I'd love to have a Caden in our backcourt. And then the Cade Tyson news broke that he was leaving to transfer. And so we haven't actually talked about it on the show, but one of the things that I started thinking about with that over the weekend is I was like, okay, Cade, was a 4 for Carolina that really was more like a 3, kind of like as Drake was able to transition from playing power forward back to his more natural small forward position in the stretch run of this past year. So with Cade stepping out, I started to ask myself, is there a world in which you go after both Kanon Catchings and Jarin Stevenson? I processed that over the weekend. I was like, do you take both of them? Or do you still just look at maybe only getting one of them and looking for another shooter, or holding a spot for, like a later portal entry or for an international player? Or do you just be done? And that's something really intriguing to think about. But as it turns out, Carolina does not take both Catchings and Stevenson. The reporting, at least from what we've seen from both Inside Carolina and Tar Heel Illustrated, is that Carolina, after having met with Catchings all weekend, they decided like, hey, we don't want to do this. And the best understanding, and maybe more comes out, but as of Sunday night, as I record this in the wee hours of Monday morning, I guess we should say, it seems like Carolina was the one that was like, we're good. And Catchings almost immediately commits to Georgia. And then Stevenson almost immediately commits to North Carolina. Now, coming into the weekend, I really thought we would be sitting here talking about, okay, Kanon Catchings is a Tar Heel. We'll see what, if anything, happens with Jarin Stevenson after that. And I mean, there was thought of, if Catchings isn't a Tar Heel, probably then you look at Stevenson. But I got to be honest, I didn't think it would be this quick of a flip that here we are. It's like before we even go to bed Sunday night, it's like, oh, okay. What up, Jarin Stevenson? Welcome to being a Tar Heel. I don't know that you take anymore. We're going to look at the scholarship chart here in a minute in segment 2. But now you've got 12 scholarship level players, kind of cool division of 6 each for the front and back court. But I think maybe you stand pat right now with Jarin Stevenson. I would like more shooting, but I don't know that it makes sense with the roster. We'll talk about that. And positionally, on Friday's show with Coach Rob, in some ways I was kind of equating the two positionally, but really it's more like Kanon Catchings is a small forward that, based on positionless basketball, would probably float up to the 4 at times, depending on personnel and roster and all that. And Jarin is more of a 4 that, truthfully, depending on roster situation, I mean, at times at Alabama, he would float up to the 5 if neither Grant Nelson or Amori or another big were on the court, especially his freshman year. And then this year, like when Carolina played Alabama this year, Stevenson was starting at the 3. Remember, they started 3, 6, 11 guys. It was Stevenson at the 3, Grant Nelson at the 4, and Cliff Omori at the 5. And so that's one of the nice things is I know we're going to want to put these guys all into these pigeonholes, but there is a lot of roster flexibility. And I think Jarin can bring some of that. Again, we'll talk about his numbers and pros and cons here coming up probably on Tuesday or Wednesday show. But as you look at it, I like that Stevenson can do all of that. So Jarin Stevenson in, Kanon Catchings off to Georgia, Cade Tyson out. So what does that mean for the shape of the roster, the depth chart, the scholarship? Does this mean Drake Powell is staying since Kanon Catchings is leaving? That's all the conversations we want to have coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about Monarch Money. Hey, do you ever check your bank account and wonder like, hey, where'd all my money go? Between dining out and online shopping and entertainment, it's really easy to lose track of it all. But that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just some budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, your investments, all your spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of having to juggle multiple apps where you're like scrolling between one and another, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. I love that you can do it all there in one place. My wife and I, man, we always want to make sure we're on the same page when it comes to finances. And thankfully, with Monarch Money, managing that with my wife is smoother than ever. I can track shared accounts, personal accounts. You can set goals. You can stay on the same page without all the stress. So go ahead and take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, that's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Make sure you go and check it out. Okay, let's talk about what this means with both Cade Tyson entering the transfer portal and now with Jarin Stevenson coming in. And where I want to start is the Drake Powell question, because this is a big one. And I think it's a conversation that is going to continue to unfold and unpack in the coming days and weeks. Hopefully, though, days and not weeks. But it's kind of multifaceted, because you look at Kanon Catchings, as I was just talking about, coming in as more of a small forward type. that can play up to 4. But obviously if Drake is back, that's where he's going to start, is at the 3, unless somebody comes in and just wrestles it away from him. I don't see that happening, but it's a possibility. And so, I mean, we have to immediately wonder, in all the conversations this weekend hanging out in Chapel Hill, was there conversation of Drake Powell's intentions? Was there a conversation of, look, Kanon, love you, want you to come and compete for a role, but we can't promise you anything. And, internally, hush, hush, it looks like Drake's going to be back. So all the more we can't promise you that starting 3 spot. Obviously, that's speculation right now. We'll see as more news comes out. But then there's another wrinkle to that, is the fact that, Drake and Jarin, both being local kids, played together some in high school. And Jarin's coming in, uncertain exactly what his role will be, because we'll look at this in just a second. But it's got to entice these 2 young men to think oh, we could play together again at the collegiate level and compete at a very high level. Yeah, let's do that. That's got to mean something. That would mean something to me. I would imagine it would mean something to you. So we'll see. Jarin's in. Maybe that means Drake is staying. Maybe that's part of why Kanon Catchings is out. So as we look now at the scholarship chart, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it pulled up. If you're listening as you drive in your car, you can very unsafely pull up the scholarship chart. I've tweeted it out, and I think I put it on Instagram and TikTok and all sorts of other places. You can check it out there. But as of right now, Carolina finally is kind of balanced among the classes. And look, in this day and age, it's like guys are going to move on and change all the time. So that doesn't say too much about the progression of the next couple of years, but it's not a bad thing, right? So right now, there are 2 seniors. That's Van Allen Lubin and Seth Trimble. There are 3 juniors, upcoming juniors, Kyan Evans, the Colorado State transfer that we project to be Carolina's starting point guard, Jarin Stevenson now, and Henry Vasar, who is a redshirt junior for Carolina. And then at the sophomore levels, where you have the most players, James Brown, Zayden High, the redshirt, coming in as well, Drake Powell and Jonathan Powell coming over from West Virginia. And then the 3 incoming freshmen, Isaiah Dennis, Derek Dixon, and Caleb Wilson. So as you look at how all of that breaks down, I said a little bit ago, but it is a pretty nice demarcation of 6 backcourt and wing players and 6 frontcourt players. The interesting thing, Coach Davis has not historically played a lot of depth. And truthfully, for a lot of college basketball teams, you get an 8-man rotation, and that's about where you want to sit. This past year, Carolina used their bench 30% of the time. That was 213th in the nation. And that was by far the highest percentage of the Hubert Davis era. 19.8% his first year. That was 348th in the nation. 18.3%, Carolina 360th in the nation the year they declined the NIT invite. And then last year, when they were a 1 seed, Carolina used their bench 22% of the time. So that was the highest rate. This year, 30% of the time. So it is trending up. But as you look at it and you look at 12 scholarship level players, you think, man, is Coach Davis going to utilize all of these guys? Precedence tells us no. But there is also an increase of usage of the bench. Now, one of the things we'll have to talk about this offseason is, does that mean more guys or fewer guys, but more minutes for those bench guys, right? Like, did Seth and Ian Jackson and Jalen Washington just get a bunch of time off the bench this year? It's not that it was more guys being utilized. It's just that it was more time for the guys he was utilizing. That we'll have to get into it. But as I think about positional depth chart, here's where I have things sitting right now. I'll just go from point guard all the way up to center. Right now at the 1, I'm starting Kyan Evans with Seth Trimble behind him as the backup point guard, and then Isaiah Dennis. As best I can tell from conversations, from tape and other stuff, he's the better of the 2 incoming freshman guards when it comes to point guard duties. But I think that's like backup. I think the vast majority of the time, unless the Tar Heels go get another point guard, you don't want the ball really in other people's hands other than Kyan Evans and Seth Trimble as the point guard. Then for me right now, starting at the 2 is Seth Trimble. I just put him behind Kyan at the 1 because I think that's where you're looking at that. And then Derek Dixon behind Seth. When Seth goes to play the 1, I think you look at Derek Dixon, maybe Jonathan Powell, but I don't know. We'll just have to see. Again, there's so much positional versatility. At the 3, small forward, I got the Powell boys. Drake Powell starting with Jonathan Powell behind him. Let's go to the 5 because I want to come back to power forward. At center, unless something crazy happens, which Van Allen is a dog, man. You don't know. But I project Henry Vasar to be the starting 5 with Van Allen Lubin behind him and then James Brown third string. The power forward position is where it gets this position battle I am immediately enthralled with. The battle between Caleb Wilson and Jarin Stevenson for the starting power forward, for the starting 4. I think we all project Caleb Wilson to get that role because of how high level the expectation is for him, his defensive capability. But Jarin going to Alabama had all that same kind of pub and expectation coming into college, all of that we have for Caleb Wilson right now. So here's what I like about this. Every other of the starters that I've projected is somebody with collegiate experience. If I'm projecting Caleb Wilson to start at the 4, let's say it doesn't go well and he's not ready. There's Jarin Stevenson. He's got 2 years of collegiate experience, a Final Four under his belt. They fall just short of that this year, losing to Duke in the Elite 8. And man, I tell you what. And then Zayden High as the third string power forward. But who knows? We haven't seen Zay in a year. Who knows what he could step in and do? So as I look at these 12 guys that are the scholarship level players on the roster right now, I feel like, yes, there are holes that I could put. Like, I don't feel perfect about point guard. Like, I like Seth as guard in spurts, but I think Kyan Evans is going to have to play a lot. I think there's a lot of shooting, but you are starting Seth Trimble in my scenario at the 2. And then behind him, you're hoping and projecting that Derek Dixon can do it, which he's one of the best shooters in this freshman class coming in, but he's not done it in college. So maybe Jonathan Powell slides down and plays him too. I don't know. That's the thing, is there's just so much versatility and possibility. So I think for right now, if I was speculating, and I'm sure we'll hear some from Inside Carolina's Sherelle McMillan on this and others who have been talking to close sources inside the program, but I got to imagine that Carolina's done. Maybe somebody else pieces out because they're like, I ain't going to get time. Got to wait on the Drake Powell news. I think that is the biggest thing on our radar right now. What is Drake Powell going to do? And good grief, I hope he stays. I just think there's a ton he could add to this team. Now, again, you do have 3 more scholarships that you can use. We're up to 15 now is the new number. And maybe there is some player that enters the transfer portal late from another team. That's like a can't miss. You got to go get him, especially if it's like a point guard, somebody that can just bomb away. Go do it. Maybe there's an international player like that point guard from Israel, man. I think he is phenomenal. That might be worth a look, those kind of things, but we're going to have to see. All right. So, man, this, is it going to definitely work? We don't know. Have Hubert Davis and Jim Tanner the transfer portal isn't even closed yet. Have they already put Carolina in an infinitely better position than last year? Yes. Is the talent or is the team definitely better this year? Maybe. I'm still processing that right now, right? I feel like the sum is better than it was last year, but I don't know if some of the individual parts are as strong as they were last year. I feel like it's in a good spot. I really do. But we got to wait and see on that. So much more to come on the Jarin Stevenson commitment, what it means for Carolina as a roster, how Carolina looks as a team right now, all of that, much more to go on it. But I got to get to the Diamond Heels because, baby, they just swept Wake Forest this weekend. We got some more of the weekend whip around. There's a crud ton of comments. It's wild that it's almost 12:30 on the East Coast, and you guys are in here like crazy. Thank you. It's great to be with you. We'll see if there's a couple maybe comments we can get to as well. All that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about our good friends at Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trade. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you're going to find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Do you need help with an order? No problem. Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you're always going to talk to a real person. And for trade pros who are looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. So join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. Check it all out at supplyhouse.com. All right, before I get to baseball, let's scroll up and see, lots of people jumping in. Just lots of questions about Jarin Stevenson. So probably nothing too much about it there. So I'm going to save those. I will look at them. I got to imagine you guys have a lot of comments and questions about Jarin Stevenson. So I'm going to get those and I'm going to save them for Tuesday's show. That's how we're going to handle that. All right, let's get to the weekend whip around. I got to start with the Diamond Heels, y'all. They are absolutely cooking right now. They had started the season hot, so hot, and then kind of cooled off as they got into ACC play, lost their first two series. You don't have to sweep everybody. You don't have to stay undefeated, but you want to win series. You got to win at least 2 out of 3. They lost the first 2 of those, and then they didn't get swept in any of them, just lost. Then they won the next 3, and then in comes a Wake Forest team this weekend to the Bosch, a Wake Forest team that had just crushed Florida State, who's one of the, in my opinion, 2 best teams in the conference, as they've been playing at least, last weekend. So I was like, oh, man. Okay, Carolina, we got to see how hot you truly are. Well, the Demon Deacons come in, and Carolina just slaughters them on Friday. And if there's something bigger than a slaughter, that's what they did on Saturday. It was 11-1 on Friday, 17-1 on Saturday, both of those by mercy rule. So in college baseball, if you're leading by 10 or more after 7 innings, ball game. That's it, and that's all. And so Carolina doing that and getting to save their bullpen is great, man. And then on Sunday, they come back and they showed that they know how to win a close game, winning 3-2. 2 of those runs came right in the first inning on an error by Wake Forest, helping lead to some unearned runs. And so Carolina not only smokes Wake on Friday and Saturday, they get their first ACC series sweep of the season, and now they're looking really, really good, moving up into that, toward that top 4, because there's a new ACC tournament format this year where if you're top 4, you get a double bye. They're just doing it all differently than they previously had, and that's great news. So Carolina really coming along. The pitching is strong, where last year you had those couple injuries, but now Jake Knapp is back. He's at, really starting to stretch it out. At the top, he's the Friday starter, number 1. Then you got Aiden Houck and then Jason DeCaro, who threw on Sunday, man. And that top 3 is really, really good. Softball won their series against Georgia Tech this weekend. They lost Friday 2-8, but then they came back to win both Saturday and Sunday 8-7 and 8-3. The ladies are 32-13 on the season, 10-8 in ACC play. Women's tennis wrapped up the regular season with sweeps over both Florida ACC schools, 4-0 over Miami, 4-0 over Florida State. Great stuff there. They wrapped the regular season at 20-4 overall, 11-1 in ACC play. ACC championships start next weekend. The Tar Heels are going to be the 2 seed behind Duke. Carolina will play either Miami, Virginia Tech, or Stanford. So Miami, Virginia Tech play the 10 and 15 seed. That winner plays 7 seed Stanford. That winner plays Carolina on Friday, I believe it is. And so we'll see how they do. it's kind of crazy. Duke is the 1 seed, Carolina 2, NC State 3. So, man, some North Carolina ACC really at the top of that. Men's tennis. They're going the opposite direction. They got swept by Duke 4-0 this weekend. They've now been skunked in 4 straight. They're the 9 seed in the ACC tournament. Women's lacrosse, they do it again. You guys, this team is insane. They host Cal over the weekend and beat them 21-7. On the season, they are now 14-0, 8-0 in ACC play. They're number 1 in the nation, have 8 ranked wins over numbers 1, 3, 4, 5, 9, 14, 18, and 20. They're outscoring their opponents 247-86, and they've scored at least 12 in every game. Just one more regular season matchup. They're at Duke on Thursday. Speaking of which, the men's lacrosse team beat Duke this weekend 8-7, a nail biter over in Durham. They are now 9-2 on the season, 2-0 in ACC play. Men's golf, they win the Tar Heel Intercollegiate this weekend. Great stuff there. Speaking of which, shouts to Rory McIlroy, man. I'm not much of a golf fan, but I watched the Masters and some of the other Grand Slams, the big tournaments there, and he's just somebody that I don't know. I kind of like. I think I just like the dude he is, and I felt bad for him, man. He was going through it. He basically choked it away a whole bunch of different ways on Sunday, came back to win in a playoff, and ultimately things were happy. I joked I did a short after Kanon Catchings in Carolina didn't work out, and how it's like Carolina, everybody's like, I don't know, we're so upset and frustrated. Where can it? Like, people are just flooding my social media and inbox and texts and all of that. And then Jarin Stevenson immediately commits, and everyone's like, oh, good, great, we're happy now. Yay! It's funny. And I felt like that's what it was like with Rory. Anyway, congrats to him on winning now the career Grand Slam in golf. That was his first Masters, making him one of just 6 people ever in golf to have the Grand Slam. The first since Tiger did it back in 2000. The only, before him, you got to go back to 1966 and Jack Nicklaus. Great stuff. Congrats to Rory McIlroy. Track and field was at the Duke Invitational this weekend. Really nice showing for them, and really, really good stuff there. Okay, you guys, is Carolina at the end of the transfer portal? We don't know. What's Drake Powell going to do? What's the shape of the roster? Lots and lots more conversations to have. But Jarin Stevenson is coming home to Chapel Hill. I got to know, you got to think that he's elated. You got to think that his family's elated. This is really, really good stuff. I want to thank all of you who have been in the live YouTube with me. It is so late on a school night, heading back into a brand new week. So thank you for hanging out with me on Sunday night. But now it's time for all of us to go to bed, right? You can go to bed. I got to edit this and get it all up and ready for Monday's show. But I want to say thank you for being with me. If you've not subscribed to Locked On Tar Heels on YouTube, do it right now. Just right down there in the corner so you don't miss a second of our show. If you haven't joined the Locked On Tar Heels Insiders, where I'm dropping all of my portal rumors and notes and updates and stuff like that, and you get free access to my stats, my charts, my data, my record books that I make, all of that. That link is in the show notes, as is the link for the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, where we have just gotten to 500. It's great stuff. I say that. I'm imagining I'm not lying to you. We were at 499 last I checked. Drum roll. We did it right at 500. I told you. Boom. Way to go. Come join us in the Locked On Tar Heels Discord. That link is in the show notes. Absolutely free to join. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel, especially after great news like this from Jarin Stevenson. We'll talk again tomorrow on the Tuesday show. But until then, peace.